What's up, everybody? I'm Mckenty. This is my second channel where I talk about business and marketing and entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff that is not music related, because the music stuff goes on my main channel. This is where stuff that's not about music goes. Sometimes I get sick of talking about music. So what I want to talk about today is everybody's favorite topic, or actually probably their least favorite topic, debt, specifically student loans and credit cards. If you rewind the clock to about 5 years ago, I had like $50,000 in student loans left to pay off. And I also owed the IRS $11,000 because I fucked up my taxes, and I got a bill from them one day that like literally gave me panic attacks to check the mail every day for the next like year and a half. Even now, sometimes still, like when I get the mail every day, I'm like a little bit scared. Like my heart actually starts beating a little bit faster because I'm afraid I'm going to get a bill from the IRS. Like that's how scared I am of the fucking IRS. That is a lot of fucking money, right? And I managed to pay it all off in about 4 years. And I'm going to tell you how I did that, because I think the way that I did it is pretty much applicable to anybody that wants to pay off a debt or just in general, like make more money. Broadly speaking, there's two ways to attack it. And the first one is pretty obvious. You reduce your expenses. That's all the obvious shit. Don't spend money on dumb things you don't need. Cancel your subscriptions to stupid shit. Don't buy vinyl and comics and whatever else you waste your money on. Live at or below your means. Like we live in a fairly small 2-bedroom condo, which is still expensive because it's Seattle and everything's fucking expensive here. But you know, we could afford something much bigger than this, but we choose not to because we want to keep our expenses lower. We have one car that we share because my wife works downtown. She takes the bus. I don't really drive that much, so we share a car. That part's pretty easy to understand. The other side of that equation that people don't talk about as often is increasing your income. So if you keep your expenses low and your income goes up, all of a sudden now you can really aggressively pay off that debt. And that's what I did. Learn a skill that other people find valuable, and then go network and find people to pay you how to do it. I used to do like freelance graphic design and websites and stuff like that here and there. I'd get $500 here or $1,000 there to make somebody a website back in the 2000s or whatever. Kind of didn't really do any freelance work for a long time because it's hard to have a day job and then also find the time and energy to do freelance work. But when I got that bill from the IRS for $11,000, I was like, fuck, this is not good. This is scary. I need to find a way to pay this shit off. What I did is I doubled down on my digital marketing skills. That was the skill that I chose to learn because I knew that other people found that valuable. How did I know that other people find it valuable? Well, it's pretty simple. Like the thing with marketing that makes it such a great skill set is that it helps other people make money. So if you pay me $1,000 a month to do some marketing stuff that makes you $5,000 a month, you'll do that, right? Like, yeah, you don't want to pay somebody $1,000 a month to do anything, but you know, if you pay Finn $1,000 and you'll get $5,000 back, you can justify that investment, right? Marketing in that way, I think, is a very good skill to learn because it's inherently valuable. It helps other people make money, which means they will pay you a lot for it. So that's what I chose to do. I really just doubled down on all my digital marketing skills: Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube and Google ads, how to build landing pages, email marketing and marketing automation. I realized that my skills there were maybe like a 4 or a 5, but I wanted to get better. So I just took advantage of all the free resources or cheap resources that are out there. And I just dove in for a month or two and got way better at it to the point where I then felt comfortable asking people to pay me for it. I got a bunch of freelance clients over those couple years, probably like 10 or 12 different clients over the course of those few years that were paying me between $500 and like $1,500 a month to do this stuff for them. A bunch of bands, like I've talked about before, like A Day to Remember and Periphery and Issues, Fly South Management, which is the company that manages all of them. Did some stuff for Intervals, did stuff for Horizon Devices, which is Misha from Periphery's pedal company, did stuff for Get Good Drums, which is Misha and Nolly and Matt from Periphery's drum software company. A friend of mine is a venture capital investor, and so he brought me in to work with some of the companies that he had invested in to help them grow. So there was like a sock company. I consulted for a guy that makes like fancy dog treats. You know, it doesn't matter to me what you do. I think my skill set as a marketer, I think I can help your company grow. And so you might be asking yourself, cool, well, how do I get clients like that? Well, I talked about this in my video about how I ended up working with A Day to Remember and Periphery, so I won't repeat all that, but really what it comes down to is word of mouth. You find one person to start with, and if you do a good job with them, they will tell other people about you. And even if they don't, you can take the work that you did for them and use that to shop it around to other people. So for example, the dog treat company. Let's say that I knocked it out of the park for the dog treat guy and I grew his business 30% over 90 days or whatever. I could put together a case study and then go around to everybody everybody else that I can think of that either makes pet treats or any kind of packaged food product or whatever and say, look, I helped this dog treat company grow 30% in 90 days. I can do the same for you. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to make some phone calls. You're going to have to go to events and shake some hands. And I know for introverts like myself, I do not enjoy doing any of that shit. I hate talking to strangers in groups, but you have to force yourself to do it. Go on meetup.com and search for whatever it is you do, like photography or design or, engineering, whatever it is. There's a meetup for what you do in any city in the US. And if you go there and talk to people, shit will happen. And so that's what I did for 3 or 4 years. It was fucking hard. I'd get up at 5 or 5:30 every morning and work until 9 or 9:30 every night. I did the same thing on weekends. I was getting up, I still get up at 5:30 on the weekends to work because I'm busy with other shit now, but it was really hard. I gave up. I have not really had a very active social life ever, certainly not in the past like 6 or 7 years because I've focused so much on work. You have to choose your priorities. Do you want to play video games and watch Netflix and hang out with your friends, or do you want to pay off that debt? I'm not here to tell you what your priorities should be. That's up to you, but you do have to choose. Every hour you spend playing video games or watching Netflix is an hour that you're not spending either learning that skill or finding a new client or working for that client. I worked my fucking ass off for those 3 or 4 years. Like, if you told me to work that hard now, I don't know if I could because it was so draining and so difficult. But I was like, you know what? I have the opportunity to make a lot of money right now, and this is not going to last forever. So I'm going to jump on this. And I chose to make those sacrifices. It was hard, but I'm glad I did it. So there were some months, like the most I ever made in a month, I think, from freelancing was like $4,000 or $5,000. And this was on top of my day job at Creative Live at the time. So you can imagine if you're making a few $1,000s a month freelancing, in addition to your day job, you can knock that debt out pretty fast. And I finally did it. And it was a big check. I wrote a check for like $14,000 or something like that. It sucked sending that check in, but now it's gone. Like, I do not have any debt anymore. Like, no credit cards, no student loans. I paid off my car. The IRS is paid off. And it's because I worked my motherfucking ass off for 3 or 4 years. All those super early mornings where I was getting up at 5:30 a.m. to work and staying up until 10, working 18 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. It was worth it because you know how scary it is to have all that debt. So that's kind of my takeaway. Hopefully you don't have as much debt as I did. Like, if you owe, say, $8,000 or something like that, that might seem to you right now like an impossibly huge amount of money that you don't know how to pay off. I remember I got that bill for $11,000 from the IRS, and like I said, it made my fucking heart skip a beat. I couldn't think or talk for like hours because that just felt like such a terrifyingly huge amount of money to me. And it still is. What I want to tell you is that if you develop a skill that other people find valuable and you put yourself out there to find people who will pay you for it, and you like really commit to that and make that a priority and put it ahead of things like video games and comics and going to shows and playing in a band and hanging out with your friends, if you make that a priority, you can find people who will pay you more money than you think. And if you hustle for a few years like I did, you'll be able to knock that shit out way faster than you probably think if you really choose to attack it instead of just like being stressed out and scared of it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've had any debt, like if you've been able to come up with a side hustle that's helped you like attack that debt, or if you have any suggestions on how to like keep your expenses lower, or if you've ever like made the foolish mistake of living beyond your means, like as I call it, like lifestyle creep. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you next time.